Baba is a nickname for my grandmother. It's short for Oba-chan. She lived until the summer of 2015, soon after she became 100 years old. She was a very warm person who was very creative, and taking care of our family was most important to her. One of the important things that I learned from my Baba was to value small things in daily life. She was able to add value to small things by using her hands. She enjoyed cooking, sewing clothes for her family, and gardening each day. She had a very simple lifestyle. She didn't throw away anything, even small piece of fabric or food, and she was able to reuse them to create something new. She didn't spend much money, but she was able to make everything beautiful in her own unique style. As a child, I always watched my grandmother sewing clothes for our family. Threads, needles, buttons, wood bobbins, and fragments of cloth were my favorite toys. Now, as an artist, I use stitching with thread as a form of drawing in my collages. I also use her hand-drawn dress patterns in my printmaking and collaging. When she was still alive, every time I visited her in Tokyo, she gave me her fabrics and dress patterns for my artwork. My father Nobi immigrated to the US with his family when he was 13 years old. He moved from Shizuoka to San Francisco. He went to the University of California, Berkeley, majoring in economics, specializing in international business. That was when he met my mother, Tomoko, who came to study painting and ceramics at the Cleveland Institute of Art in the early 60s. She traveled to San Francisco by a cargo ship with 7 passengers and transferred to an airplane to get to Cleveland. She came to the United States with only $200 in her pocket. When my parents married, they lived in Oakland and San Francisco for a few years, and I was born there. We moved back to Japan soon afterwards. My father worked for a small company in San Francisco called the Determined Production Inc., beginning in the early 80s. They had a Tokyo office in charge of developing and licensing Peanuts and Felix the Cat products. In Japan, American cartoon characters are visible and appear to be a very important part of daily life because Japanese people wish to stay feeling like a kids, even if they are not kids anymore. When I think about my family background, I realize how important it has been for me to experience living in the 2 different countries. I am a quiet person, and although I have lived in the US for 28 years, I never learned English really well. Instead, my third language, art making, evolved over time. I am an only child, and I am the only one in my family who decided to stay in Cleveland for almost 3 decades, except for 3 years in Ann Arbor when I was in graduate school at University of Michigan, after graduating from Cleveland Institute of Art in 1994. The way I put together my work is unique because I make works in multiple locations. I have a studio at home and also at Zygo Press. I print on paper there twice a week for over the past 15 years. I also go to Morgan Conservatory to make paper once or twice a year. I travel a lot to different cities with my Verne Gallery job and go to Japan once a year. Wherever I go, I travel with my fragments of prints, handmade paper, and old book pages in my portable briefcase. Sometimes when I travel with Michael, for example at an exhibition in LA or San Francisco, we have a few hours before we are going to have dinner with his nephews James, Dave, and Tom Franco. As we wait to find out what restaurant, I just work on small collages. Everyone at the restaurant still knows who they are, but nobody recognizes Michael or me. After printing and collaging on a small scale, the final stage is at my studio where I have a long, big, narrow table. I can arrange and rearrange all the pieces together to make a big piece.